This is a messy situation all around. Sometimes I feel like my actions are justified, while at other times I feel like I'm just plain wrong. My brother's sister and I do not have a great relationship. We're all low or no contact with each other. I have a great job that pays very well, while they're barely making minimum wage or living off their spouses. During our parents' last years, I was the only one in any position to help them. I paid for whatever care they needed and made sure they were comfortable. My siblings sometimes visited our parents, but none contributed to their care. I also paid the taxes and maintenance of their house. We never discussed their wills beyond them letting me know they existed. When our dad passed, he left everything to our mom. When she passed, I was shocked. I thought the estate would be divided equally between the children, but instead, the bulk of the estate, almost all of it is in the house, was left to my siblings. My portion was a minority, 5% ownership, in their house. Mom wrote letters to all of us, and in her letter to me, she thanked me for taking care of her and explained that she left me so little because I didn't really need it, while all my siblings needed all the help she could give them. The shock turned into hurt, as I did more for my parents than everyone else. My siblings immediately wanted to sell the house to cash out. I don't know the market value, but the tax value is about $750,000. My siblings are begging me to agree to sell or buy them out because they can't afford their portion of the taxes, including their huge estate tax bills coming up, and maintenance, and they can't afford to buy me out. I've done fine before the measly inheritance, so I won't miss it. On the other hand, my siblings want to move out of their apartments or pay for their kids' braces or some other sappy excuse. One even said his wife's car is dying and they currently can't afford a new car. My wife understands my hurt, but she said I'm taking it too far. My siblings alternate between begging and cussing at me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I'm sorry, man, this sucks. But for what you're asking, you are an idiot. You're blocking the cash out of your mom's house out of pettiness. You have a 5% stake in the house. I'm pretty sure it'll be easy for them to get the executor to force the sale of the house. What is your plan? If you want to live there, you'll have to pay them rent or buy them out. 95% of the house's owners want to sell. They'll get it sold, but with a lot of bad blood. Your mom left a poor thanks for all your help, but it's not their fault. And you know they need the money. It sounds to me, too, that OP's refusing to sell just to be spiteful. With no endgame, I don't see the point. If taxes aren't paid, the government could take the house. Depending on the laws there, no one gets anything when the government sells the home to cover taxes. In that case, OP's stance seems to be, if I don't get as much as I think I should, then no one gets anything. He's holding up the sale to punish his siblings because he's mad at mom. I don't know, man. If this was my sibling, I'd understand why they were upset and try to do something to make it right and ease that emotional pain. Sounds like his siblings haven't even offered a token acknowledgement that he got screwed over. I can completely understand the impulse to say, forget it, I'm not helping you. In my opinion, nobody looks good here. Mom most especially. OP is repeatedly bragging about how they don't need the money, but the sibs do. This is exactly why their mom did what she did. OP wished for no money, and the siblings need it for sappy excuses like upgraded living conditions, medical needs, and a working car. Guarantee OP is militantly child-free. Imagine describing a parent wanting braces for their child as a sappy excuse. You are the idiot, but mainly to yourself. Let them sell the house and use the opportunity to separate themselves further. Update: it's not about the money. If my mom had left me the entire estate, it still wouldn't be enough to cover the cost of what I spent on their health care, groceries, funeral costs, and not to mention all of the bills related to the house. I spent that money with the full understanding that none of it was coming back because they were my parents. The hurt comes from the nominal amount. My endgame? On good days, I don't know what my end game is. On bad days, I'm willing to go scorch earth and let the city auction off the house for unpaid taxes. Before my mom passed, the roof was leaking, and I got estimates ranging from $25,000 to $30,000 to fix the rotted wood and replace the shingles. She went downhill, so I just forgot about it. But now I'm willing to let it collapse into itself. There's no way my siblings can come up with the money to fix the roof, much less pay the taxes. My husband has a son, pre-tween, from a previous relationship. My husband temporarily has full custody of his son because his mother is in deep financial trouble. He's been with us for 8 months. My family knows him, my cousins. No one had any problems with him attending family functions. My cousin, 26 female, is getting married in a few months. She sent us an invitation, but it was only my husband and I on the invitation. I asked my cousin about it and asked if it was a mistake. She clarified that it was not a mistake and that he wasn't invited because it was a family-only event. My husband was understandably very upset and will not be attending the wedding. I want to attend my cousin's wedding just as a formality and won't stay the entire wedding day. I've yet to tell my husband this. My sister's also not attending the wedding because her stepdaughter wasn't invited. Sister's bio children were invited. Their names were on the invitation, just not her stepdaughters. My brother has no stepkids, and my brother's invitation just said, family last name. My cousin and I are very close, and I want to show up at least so she'll know that I'm there for her. But I'm not sure if I'll be the idiot if I attend. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. This is the time to circle the wagons around your nuclear family. You, your husband, and your stepson. Your cousin is drawing very clear lines that stepchildren are not family. Your sister has already said she won't attend. I strongly recommend you do the same, unless you want to jeopardize your relationship with your husband and stepson. And just to add, if you and your cousin are very close, she should be treating your family like family and not ostracizing them. Your sister was invited with her bio kids, but not her stepdaughter? Jesus, can you imagine being that kid? Your whole family's invited, but you specifically not. How cruel can you be? At least the sister has some sense. Your cousin is an idiot for making those distinctions. OP wants to be there for her cousin. Unfortunately, she doesn't give a crap about being there for her husband or stepson. I'm trying to imagine having a relative that was this much the idiot. I truly cannot fathom it. OP seems to be on the verge of making a major mistake, both in terms of general morality and ethics, and specifically in terms of damaging her primary relationship, not to mention her relationship with her sister. What does the cousin have that husband and sister do not? How is your husband's child not family? Because he didn't come from your uterus? What if you had an adopted child? Would he or she be left out as well? You might be close with your cousin, but her reasoning sounds way off base. If it were a no kids event, that would be fine, but to exclude stepchildren is just nasty. Honestly, if I were the husband in this situation and my spouse went to the wedding anyway, they'd return to an empty house. My daughter, 21, gets off work at 4 a.m. She usually stays up until lunchtime and sleeps until she goes to work. She works the night shift. My son is nearly an adult and is still in high school. I'm at work when she's sleeping, but my son was home for the summer and he would wake her up to make him food. He would bug her until she did it so she could go back to sleep. It came to a head a month ago when my daughter lost it, and I finally learned about it. Anyways, long conversation, and as his punishment, he had to make my daughter food when she asked for it, at any time, the same amount she did for him. So it was about 30 times he woke her up, so he had to make her 30 meals. Everyone agreed, though my son wasn't happy and picked it over losing his phone for a month. So my daughter will wake him up to make her food. He still has 15 meals left. He hates it, but it gets the point across. Now school started, and he got woken up last night to make her food. So this morning, he was tired as all heck. He went to his grandparents, and I got into a huge argument with my mom. She thinks I'm an idiot, but the punishment fits the crime. My son won't talk to me, and I'm questioning myself, even though my husband is backing up the punishment. I was harsh on this punishment since she works in medicine and she could lose her job if she can't focus. That's actually a perfect punishment. He woke her up for food, so now he gets to feel what it's like. You also gave him a choice, and he picked this one. The point is he'll be tired when people wake you up for no good reason. You are not the idiot. Everyone's the idiot here. Your son was being a total idiot over the summer and merited this basic type of punishment. But waking up a teenage high school student at midnight while he's going to school is crossing from teaching a lesson to revenge. You're creating idiot inception here. The most important thing here is teaching respect and boundaries, and this is not doing that. It's emphasizing pettiness and retribution. Education is also valuable and important, and his being sleep deprived, while a fair punishment, could potentially jeopardize his future. As a teacher, not the idiot, there are lessons which are much more important than the ones you learn at school. This is one of them. For the whiners worrying about the boy's education, don't be ridiculous. It's 2 weeks, and that will definitely not shatter his academic career. Moreover, he chose it instead of having his phone confiscated. His sister works in medicine. She could have lost her job or even endangered someone because of being sleep deprived. And you all worry that 2 weeks of being tired might ruin his future? Come on. My husband is terminally ill, and yesterday we were told that he has several weeks to live. I've been my husband's primary care since being diagnosed 8 months ago and have been doing everything to support him, including sacrificing my work. A few months ago, we started to develop his will with the consultation of a lawyer in estate planning. My husband is leaving a large portion of his estate to his family, which I'm very supportive of. As such, his will outlines that his family receives all this money from his estate. The problem is that in Australia, the 401k he has is a primary part of his wealth and is, by law, left to the spouse, not the estate. That means that to pay for all these gifts, it would have to come out of either selling our home or using my inheritance money to settle the gifts. My husband is comfortable with the will and with me fulfilling his wishes by selling our home or using my inheritance as his partner to settle the gifts. Either way, the gifts will be paid, and the will is absolutely valid. Tonight, an uncle of my partner turns up from another state. He starts explaining the above, stating that the family is at risk of not receiving the inheritance because the will only includes the estate. An emphasis here, by law, the spouse is to receive the 401k, superannuation we call it here. The will specifies I receive anything left after the gifts. He asked me to sign a handwritten deed stating that I would fund his family gifts using the 401k money or my own money. In other words, he's forcing my hand in paying them their gifts if his estate doesn't cover it. I took great offense to this and stated this is incredibly disrespectful and insulting, especially since my husband didn't ask for this, that he has a very limited time and we're wasting it on political and legal issues, and most importantly, that you would question me as his husband and my ability to fulfill my dying husband's final wishes. I quickly broke into tears, left the room, and refused to speak to the uncle. Before I left, I said I would review the contract, but not before my lawyer reviewed it. My husband was very sad when I left the room and was mad at the uncle for doing this to me. I feel like the uncle is meddling in our affairs as husbands. He's trying to look out for his family, but in doing so, he's shown me the little trust he has in me as the man my husband picked all these years ago, married, and am now losing. I've seen this uncle a few times a year over the duration of our relationship. Of course I would fulfill my husband's wishes, and my whole life is him. I'm shocked we would spend this time on the semantics of how money's distributed rather than being present with my beautiful man in his final moments. Am I the idiot for not signing this handwritten deed? Not the idiot at all. Is your husband willing for you to lose your home when he dies? Ask him to support the rest of your life or find someone else to nurse him. If he says he wants you to lose your home and your husband, book cures for him for a few days and take a well-deserved break. If he doesn't care about your life, you're wasting time caring for him now. One thing to check is whether his uncle puts undue pressure on him when he's vulnerable. Is there anyone else from his family that you could check in with? You can make this very easy for the uncle. He gets nothing. What a selfish son of an idiot. Your husband is the worst. His responsibility is to protect your financial future, not your family's. Making you give up your home or the 401k in which he made you the beneficiary is rude and disrespectful to you. You sacrificed for him, and he's repaying you by giving away your financial stability to his family. And he's adding extra work for you after, when you'll be grieving his loss. Not the idiot, but your husband is. I'm the father of 4 children. In May, my son Neil got married to Debbie. Debbie acted terribly the whole day, straight up entitled and embarrassing. My oldest daughter was 3 months pregnant and hadn't told anyone because she had already had one loss. She was barely showing, and Debbie picked a tight-fitted bridesmaid dress. My daughter was super sick from morning sickness, and Debbie told her she looked disgusting and to stop taking attention off of her. My son, who was the best man to the groom, his brother, had his wife seated with some cousins across the room at the reception and not at the family table because she was an immediate family. We didn't know this until the reception and tried to have her moved back to our table, and Debbie said no. It was her day. It caused a fight, and the best man just left before the reception because his wife was snubbed. A few days after the wedding, my daughter lost her pregnancy again while Debbie and Neil were on their honeymoon. Debbie felt like that was attention-seeking. My wife, children, and spouses normally rent a house by the beach for Labor Day, and because of the continued bad blood between Debbie and the rest of the family, they aren't invited. All 3 of my other children basically said, if Debbie comes, they aren't going, so Debbie and Neil got the axe. When Neil asked about it, I told him, Debbie showed us who she was on her wedding day, and don't expect many invites from the rest of the family to do things. Neil was angry and said it wasn't fair, that she was feeling left out because she saw on social media where all the girls, including the snubbed sister-in-law, her mother, and my wife, went to the Barbie movie dressed in pink, and she felt left out. Now he has to tell her that she can't go to the annual beach vacation, and she's feeling hurt. I told him not one person in the family wanted Debbie there, and I was sorry, but she couldn't come. My son had me on speaker, and Debbie started crying, saying she couldn't believe how horrible we were, and that she wasn't going to go anyways, and don't expect to see her at Thanksgiving or Christmas ever again. I lost my temper with Debbie, and I told her the rest of the family would be relieved to hear it. Not the idiot. I'm sure your daughter had a loss on purpose just to take the focus off of the newlyweds. Tell Debbie you feel like that's attention-seeking behavior and to stop taking the attention off the family. Also, tell her you understand her position and will respect her decision not to come. Oh, and maybe Debbie can sit with the neighbors for the holidays because she's not immediate family. Honestly, I kind of feel like OP should have said, "Don't threaten us with a good time." That line probably would have made Debbie lose her mind. LOL. She's like the a-hole customer that says they'll never be back. Like, promise? And if I were part of your family, I'd be thrilled to hear that I wouldn't see her again at any more family gatherings. That was not okay for your son to have the call on speaker with her in the room without telling her. You may need to sit down and discuss with him one day, one-on-one, at a less heated moment, and perhaps follow that up with a candid conversation with her, perhaps with mediation. How many of Neil's friends has Debbie run off? You may need to ask him why he married her. Hopefully your son comes to his senses and leaves the marriage.